Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Gossip Finance. I'm Duncan Sandlin. So, stock news today. Donald Trump's stock has had kind of a wild week. It bottomed out at around 22.50, and now it's back up to 33.76. So it's jumped quite a bit. Earlier this morning, it was up 20%. And now it's only up 1.6. So it's gonna. It looks like it might have, you know, hit the peak of where it's gonna go. We'll look at it real quick. So, as you can see earlier this week, it bottomed out at the end of Tuesday trading, and it was around 22.50 something a share, 20.59. Went up a little bit and then bottomed out again, so about 24. So it went up a little bit, and then it had a pretty big day Thursday, where it came up quite a bit to 30, and then I think it ended the day pretty high. It ended the day at around 33. So great day for that, going from what 22 to 33 in one day. It was a huge jump. And then this morning it jumped up another 20 and then kind of sort of petered out since then. The question is what the hell's going on? Part of it is it's a meme stock. It's going to do whatever it's going to do. Part of it is we don't know what the retail investors are doing. We don't know what his supporters are up to, what's going on with any of that. But Ben Mysalis, the Midas Touch, brought this up. I'm going to elaborate a little bit more because I don't think he understands the stock stuff here that much, or how the regulations work. But he's going to jump into this because I thought this was fascinating.
Donald Trump is getting very worried about the Trump stock and how the Trump stock had been declining. And so they posted on the Trump media website, and they're trying to get this message out for those who hold shares of the Trump stock DJT to make sure that their broker is not allowing others to use their stock or borrow the stock to short it. And if you go to the Trump media website and you look through it, you can see the message that they're sending to their shareholders, telling them to avoid, or here are the ways to avoid people shorting the stock that you hold on to. So on the Trump media website itself, it says, how do I prevent my shares from being loaned for a short interest position? And it talks about how brokerage firms may facilitate short selling in DJT shares by lending DJT's shareholder shares held in margin accounts. Through this practice, brokerage firms earn an alternative source of revenue by lending shares to sophisticated and institutional investors who are betting that the price of the particular stock will decrease over.
All right. So just to give you a sense of what that does. So in a traditional short sale, what I would do is I would borrow the shares from either the brokerage firm, somebody who already has them on a margin account that'll allow me to borrow them from, or you can usually just borrow them from firms who have stockpiles of them, because a lot of firms will do that as part of a moneymaker strategy, right? So they'll just keep stockpiles of them. So they'll let you borrow the shares for a short term. And what I'll do is I'll borrow, 100 shares, and let's say they're at 50 of ABC stock. It's 50 cents or $50 a share. I borrow 100 of 50. I then immediately sell them at $50 a share. What I'm hoping is they'll go down. And if they go down, let's say they go down to 40, I'm going to buy them back at 40, and then I'm going to give them back to the person I borrowed them from, thus fully repaying them for the shares. Because all I have to do is put the shares back. It doesn't matter what the value was when they gave them to me or when I put them back. So now what I've done is I haven't spent any of my own money. I did risk money because I would have had to repay to borrow them if I couldn't get them back, right? So what happens is I just made $10 a share, and I didn't have to risk hardly any money to do it, so I could leverage my position. So in that case, I would have made $1,000. So that's essentially what they're talking about. They said, well, we don't want people doing that, so tell your broker not to let them use the margin account or let them short sell your or borrow to short sell your stock, which is what it is. It's gonna happen. That's not gonna really prevent much, but it is kind of a market manipulation thing that they're doing here. It's pretty tacky. The other thing about that is, here's the deal. So part of what tanked it earlier this week was they put in their recent filing, and in the recent filing they explained that, oh yeah, we're going to try to, because right now they're on a 6-month hold. So Trump and the other owners can't sell their shares until the stock's been out for 6 months. That's whatever, September, October, something like that. So If they do before that, or they can't before that, but if they, what they can do is they can vote as all the shareholders and say, hey, we want to be able to sell our shares early. And if they win that vote, then yeah, they could go ahead and sell their shares. In which case, they're going to, because the stock is worthless. The underlying company is lost money. It loses money now. It's a worthless company. So the stocks tanked when they found that out. Plus, they found out right now there were 21 million shares that are called warrants. Now, a warrant basically is this: if I give you a warrant in ABC Company, and I'm ABC Company, that gives you the right to, at a certain point in time, it gives you the right to buy the share at a certain price, right? And in this case, the warrants are worth $17.50. So just to go back to this real quick. Sorry, we'll jump back into, if Trump's shares, right, like they were down 22 to 22.59, I think it was, at the end of Tuesday. That's when all this craziness started. If they go down to 17.50, now the warrants are worthless and I can't cash them. So that extra 21.5 million shares just disappears because nobody's going to exercise them at a loss. So that was the thing about that, is that's coming up pretty soon here. I can't remember where the actual date was, and I couldn't look it up. I couldn't find it when I looked it up. But those 21.5 million shares will become active, and those people can exercise them and sell them immediately and make money, which means it'll add 21 million shares more, which will dilute the price, which will make the price drop. Because when you add more shares but you don't add more money, the price per share goes down instantly. Then what ends up happening is they could immediately exercise and sell those, which they would, and make money. And that's going to drag the price down. So there's a a kind of a double thing that's going on here. It's called a pump and dump, and it is illegal technically. Now, whether or not this is illegal in this instance, I don't know. But they're encouraging people to invest, protect their investment and whatnot, not telling them, oh, by the way, we're also planning on dumping shares here in the next few weeks, the next few months, to try and get out as much of our money as we can before the price tanks. So they're kind of hosing the retail investors here. The other thing they did, which I think is really sneaky, and we'll see if it becomes true, is they filed and said on Tuesday, actually they said, oh, by the way, we're going to open up a TV app and we're going to eventually go into TV broadcasting. So we're expanding the company. And they did that to try and bolster the amount of bolster the share price, so hopefully getting people to invest. Now, we haven't seen anything to prove that's true. They just said that that's what they were doing. If it turns out that wasn't true, then they're lying. They're giving away insider information that's untrue in order to bolster the price of the stock so they can make money on it. So that would be criminal. So this is all really sketchy shit on the Trump Corporation side. Now, they did point out this, and I think this is funny, because this is where the Devin Nunes, who's the CEO there, who's a total POS. Anyway, he pointed this out in their filing. I want to read this because it's funny to me. So he's writing this to the Chief Executive Officer of NASDAQ. Dear Ms. Friedman, I'm writing to bring to your attention to potential market manipulation of the stock of Trump Media, blah, 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 which operates the Truth Social platform and has traded on the NASDAQ since March 26. As you know, naked short selling shares of stock without first borrowing the shares of stock deemed difficult to locate, is generally illegal pursuant to the Security Exchange Commission regulation SHO. As of April 17th, DJT appears on NASDAQ's regulations show threshold list, which is indicative of unlawful trading activity. This is particularly troubling given that naked short selling often entails sophisticated market participants profiting at the expense of retail investors. Reports indicate that as of April 3rd, 2024, DJT was by far the most expensive U.S. stock to short, meaning that brokers have significant financial incentive to lend non-existent shares. Data made available, blah, blah, blah. So what he's saying, and we can skip the rest of this, but what he's saying essentially is, so in a traditional short sell, I told you I borrow the shares, I sell them, I buy them back, right? In a naked short sale, I don't borrow the shares. I sell them without having them in my possession because it takes time to close. Now, it looks like it's like if you're trading on your computer, it looks instantaneous, but in real life, sometimes it takes a day, right? Which is oftentimes when you're trading, You'll notice you'll trade it, you'll sell your shares, and they'll say that you have this much in cash, but you can't pull that cash out because it hasn't cleared yet. The trade hasn't fully cleared. So that's why that's different. So if I sell them and I don't have them, right, and then I can buy and sell and make money if it goes down. If it goes up, I can either try and get out of it or put myself in a weird position. But if I can do that, I can leverage a lot because I don't have to borrow them. And so it's illegal to do this, by the way. Don't ever do this. I mean, you have to be an institutional person to do it, but still. If you did that, what that does is it also kind of drags down the share price, and it shows it to be more volatile than it is. Because it looks like you're buying and selling shares when you're not. They don't exist. So you're creating an artificial number. And that's what he's talking about. Now, is that happening? Probably. Is it happening to the extent that it's really making a huge difference? I don't know. I doubt it. I mean, it's illegal. It's pretty well regulated, but, people still do get away with it. I'm sure it's happening, but probably not as much as they want to believe it is to drag down their stock price. But I do think it's interesting that they're pushing all this shit because they are really scared because they know the stock is worthless and they're afraid they're not going to get their money out in time. So I think what they're doing is they're throwing these complaints out. They're trying to manipulate their stockholders by saying, yeah, we've got all this new stuff coming out. We got a new TV channel coming out and all this stuff, and new TV apps, and we're doing all this stuff. And then they emailed and they put it on the website, and they emailed their shareholders, and they were like, yeah, don't let people do this and manipulate your stock, as Ben Meiselas showed you. So yeah, but if they do that, and then the retail investors, naturally they do it, but the retail investors stay in or don't, and then when they get all their shares, they immediately sell them. Now it looks like a pump and dump. Now it's potentially criminal what they did. So another criminal charge for Trump potentially coming up. I mean, it's pretty open. I mean, might as well rob the bank and tell everybody your name while you're doing it. So we'll see how that all plays out. But anyway, right now, Trump stock, it's up. It's up. So if you think it's going to go up further, now's the time to invest. If you think it's going to go down, now's the time to short it. I personally shorted it. I'm still doing okay. I'm confident that it's going to top out pretty soon here once they clear out all the suckers who invest in there. And then Trump and his guys will try and rake them either way. So we'll see how it all plays out. Anyway, thanks for joining me, guys, today, and I will catch you guys later.